Okay, if you missed question number 1, then you're supposed to be listening to this. If you didn't miss question number 1 and you have already gone over your others, you can listen to this just to help you make sure you got it right for the right reasons. Okay, first of all, let's talk about up here how this little box, you need to be sure you pay attention to that. Make sure you're on the right passage. Because remember, this is a mixed passage or a blended passage. So this is about the first passage that you read, Uncovering a New Era in Archaeology. Okay, question 1. The author includes the description in paragraph 1 most likely to. Okay, key pieces of information. You should be circling what paragraph you're in so that we know that you're in the right paragraph. They're saying they included it most likely to, which means you're talking about why. What is its purpose? Okay, so one of the things you might want to do is be thinking about what kind of an answer are you looking for. What is the purpose of this description? Now, this confused a few of you. Some of you were asking me questions about it when you read it. The passage is down here, the paragraph is rather. It doesn't sound like what you would think of as a description. It doesn't describe what something just looks like. It's not describing a scene or an object. It's descriptive of a kind of a situation. So let's read it and think about it as you go. And we're going to talk as we go. Imagine having the ability to uncover a hidden city from the past, a city worn down by time and buried beneath layers of sand. Okay, so let's stop there. It's telling you, this is the old imagine, kind of like we talked about for your compositions. Remember we talked about an imagine if? That imagine if when you were writing it, was supposed to get people to get interested in what you were trying to talk about. So they're trying to get you to get kind of interested in this. They're trying to set a scene. They're asking you to imagine something, so they're kind of wanting you to see it in your mind. Okay? So you're supposed to see or kind of maybe feel. You're going to imagine what it would feel like or what it would be like to be in this situation. So they're asking you to imagine having the ability to uncover a hidden city from the past. So imagine that. Okay, that's not literally a thing, but it's a feeling of someone, wow, I was able to uncover this hidden city. It's a feeling that someone has had. A city worn down by time and buried beneath layers of sand. That's describing what they uncovered. So it's just, this is basically telling you, this right here is describing what this hidden city is all about. Okay, now let's look at the second one. It continues and it says imagine again. So again, they're trying to get you to kind of see in your mind / feel in your heart, in your mind, both, the next thing that they're going to talk about. The thrill of ancient roads and houses. Picture that. What does ancient mean? Very, very old. So you're going to picture old roads and houses suddenly appearing before your eyes. So again, it's describing this scene. What does this sound like it's describing? Uncovering a hidden city. Imagine seeing ancient roads appearing before your eyes. What is that describing? And you've already read the passage, so you should have some idea from that. This is basically describing what archaeologists do. They don't always find cities, but they find things. All of a sudden, look, something old is just right there in front of them. Okay, they have to work for it, but they get this. So thanks to modern satellite imagery, discoveries like this are becoming increasingly common for archaeologists like Dr. Sarah Parchak. So is this part describing anything? No, this is basically saying, this is kind of the little summary of why they included this. Okay, so they set this description, and then they say, hey, because thanks to all this, this is happening for people like this archaeologist. Like, let's see, discoveries like this are becoming increasingly common. So they're letting you know that they become common, and it's describing here this scene of what it's like as an archaeologist. So let's go back up here and see what these options are. We have illustrate the significance of what archaeologists hope to discover. Now, does illustrate, I know you think of an illustrator as being someone who draws the pictures, but it doesn't always mean to draw. Illustrate means to basically create an image. Now, where else can an image be created? It could be in your mind. So with words, they have created an image for you to help you, that's what they're talking about, that it's creating an image. Now, creating an image of the significance. What does significant mean? If you didn't know that word, you should have looked it up. So you should know that word means importance, something that's very, very important. Okay, so this goes back to what I told you guys to break these down. You can write above them to actually break it down, or at least in your mind, break down these words and make sure you understand. All it's saying is create an image of what is important, that as far as what archaeologists want to discover. Okay, I guess I should say importance instead of important. Create an image of the importance of what archaeologists want to discover. Hope meaning they want to, or hope that it'll happen. Okay, is that a possibility? Is this creating an image of the stuff that archaeologists... Okay, so the task is more like a just a simple job. It's not the big fancy part of the job. It's like the digging and chipping away at the dirt when it comes to archaeology. It's not going to be the, oh, look what we found, this is awesome. It's the kind of boring part of a job usually. So does that description sound like it's talking about just simple, commonly performed tasks, the everyday stuff that an archaeologist does, or is it more about the big, wow that comes from after they do all the tasks? Think about that for a second. Go back and read if you need to. Okay, hopefully you are realizing that it's not about the tasks. This is not talking, now it's talking about them uncovering and things that are buried, but it doesn't mention any actual tasks or little jobs that they have to do. Let's look at H. Emphasize. Now these first words, these verbs are really important. So emphasize. Emphasize means to make it stand out or show how important it is. You're trying to make, it's like when you put words in bold or you underline it. I'm emphasizing all of these words. When you put a box around it, when you put it in bold letters, it's emphasizing it. Okay, so they're trying to emphasize or make it clear, make it known, the difficulty archaeologists face. So go back and skim through that and tell me, does it talk about difficulties anywhere? Okay, hopefully you've skimmed through it. There's nothing in there about difficulties at all. Now, could you infer that they probably have a hard time locating things? They do talk about the satellite imagery and all that, and but later in the passage they might talk about that. But that description, which is the description right in here, goes all the way to, well, through the most of that line right there, first 3 lines, is not discussing difficulties. Nothing about that, so no. J, highlight the activities that take the most time for archaeologists to perform. Okay, highlighting activities. Again, this is like the tasks. The activities are the specific things that they do. So it would be things they do. The things they do that make that take the most time. So was this about taking up a lot of time in here? Go back and skim through it and see. Is there anything in there that talks about? Now it says they were worn down by time, so the word time is in there, but is that talking about taking a lot of time from the archaeologist, or is that talking about cities were worn down over time? Okay, nothing in here talks about how long it took them to do it at all. Maybe later in the passage, but not here. So all 3 of these you can eliminate because they're just not even talked about down here. It's not about tasks. It's not about the difficulties, and it's not about the activities. Really, it's down to 1 word. If it's not about that at all, it's definitely not going to be about the rest of this. Okay, so zoom in on 1 or 2 words out of the passage, then don't let that make it right, but that can make it wrong. So once you kind of decide that that's not it, you can rule it out. Now, you would have to double check. Like up here, we can't just look at only the word significance. We have to look at all of it to make sure it's still okay. But we already noticed earlier, this description creates an image in our minds of how important archaeologists' jobs are. It talks about how cool it is to discover something that nobody else has ever seen, and how it just kind of shows out. So it's talking about how important that is. And important doesn't always mean it has to be important to everybody, but it's important to them. Okay, so F was be the right answer. Now, if you still don't understand why that's the right answer, then be sure and raise your hand and let me help you with it. Make sure you've taken notes on this. You should have some notes on there, not just what I write. And be sure you understand the kind of thinking you have to do. It doesn't do any good for you to just listen to me and get this answer right. You have to see how I figured out how to get it and the strategies that helped me, and use those when you take your test.